Hello, everybody, and welcome to iReadit, bringing you your daily dose of the internet for Monday, June 25th, 2018. I am Michael Schwahn.
And I'm Phil. Phil Asio.
Please remember, everybody, you can help support our show by going to patreon.com/dailyinternet, picking up some merchandise in the link below, or sending us your questions to answer on our Ask Us Anything, taking place on episode 500. So, Mr. Asio, how are you?
I'm doing fairly well. I'm fairly hungry, and my lizard has just eaten his skin, so I'm a little hungrier.
So, is it Phil A. Shio? So your last name is Shio?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Got it. Your middle initial is A, though.
Yes.
Right. Got it. Okay, I understand. I apologize there.
I would prefer not to talk about my middle name. It is short for anus.
Understood. How was your day? How was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty good. I ended up playing a little bit of Monster Hunter, helped a couple people build some character sheets, played some Dungeons and Dragons. I think I'm going to be picking up, what's it called? Tabletop Simulator.
Sure. It's on 50% off right
sale. Now. Yeah, and there's like a deal for 4 of them.
And Tabletop Simulator is incredible in terms of the things that it can do.
Mm-hmm. No, it's fucking great. You can play like any tabletop you want on there.
You sure can.
Which is fucking dope, but it's beyond the point.
Yeah, it is beyond the point. But it is nice if you want to try out things like Warhammer 40K or Hordes or anything like that. It's a good place to...
I mean, anything. Before you even purchase the game for you and your friends to play, you can play a couple pickup games of it online.
Yep, totally.
So, like any board game is great.
It's a really good resource.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
It's good though. It's good. My weekend kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good weekend, but like I'm trying to even grasp everything. Like it was a very busy weekend, is why I say that it disappeared. Because like woke up on Saturday, and me and Jennifer went shopping around like thrift stores and stuff for wedding things, and we ended up finding a couple really cool things, both of which were at Bishop's attic. We found this really, really awesome box. Like it's this really sick wooden box. It's really heavy duty, and we're probably gonna have it as like where people put their cards if they bring like greeting cards and stuff at the wedding.
Yeah.
And it was only $8.50, super cheap, really awesome. And we were wondering what it was because it had this weird thing in the top of it. Turns out it's a cigar box.
Huh.
Yeah, but it's super nice. The other thing that we found was there was this box that was covered in dust that Jennifer spied that was below one of the shelves in there. And inside there were 55 of these vases that were probably no more than 3 or 4 inches tall. And the entire box was $2.50. So we picked up all 55 of them for $2.50. And those are going to be really great to put on tables and things.
I'm happy you guys get, very happy about silly things like that.
Well, I understand why it seems silly, but everything that we've looked at is obnoxiously expensive when it comes to anything at all for a wedding decoration, especially when right now we're trying to get the guest list down below the recommended limit for the venue, which is 150.
Oh,
and
God,
so
you
need decorations to cover the tables for 150 people. You might not need 150 decorations, but you do need enough to cover that many tables. And that adds up really quick.
Yeah, that does seem like a lot.
So when you find 55 neat little cool vases that you can fill with water and put some flower petals into to make them pretty for $2.50 for all of them, when they'd probably be like $2 each normally, it's pretty awesome.
I mean, if you're into that kind of shit,
I'm into not spending fuckloads of money.
I mean, I guess if you're into tiny vases,
it'll look nice, Nathan. Damn it. Yeah, exactly. It's got to be memorable, sir.
I would say that a wedding is memorable whether or not you have vases with flowers on the table.
That's fair, but you want it to be pretty.
You can also argue that it would be pretty whether or not there are vases with flowers on the table.
I can argue that you're pretty whether or not there's vases on the table.
I could argue that it is more of a liability having those vases with those flowers on the table.
I mean, if they get broken, they were, a nickel, so whatever.
No, that's not it. I'm talking about guests. They're allergic to these flowers or allergic to bees that these flowers attract. You are potentially causing death at your own wedding.
I'm just going to...
Which is pretty fucking Dothraki of you.
I'm just going to wait for you to walk in and then just dump liquid coconut oil right over your head.
That won't kill me, unfortunately. That'll just upset me.
But it'll make me feel better.
That's fine.
That's fine. Okay, that's great. So do you want to actually talk about some news?
Sure, I guess.
You guess? You could be convinced?
I guess I could be convinced.
Potentially.
You can argue.
All right. All right, fine. Fuck you. I don't think you can be convinced.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That was a weak argument. All right.
5.
Scientists shot dead in front of daughters who were ages 2 and 4 during California camping trip.
This is submitted by Poverty for Sale to our news.
Yeah, I'd sell my poverty.
That's a good fucking name.
Anyway, 2 young girls who were ages 2 and 4 had to watch their father bleed out to death after he was shot in their tent while they were camping in California. Him and his 2 girls had went camping to just get out of the house to allow their mother, who was a doctor, time to like focus on work and school and stuff like that. So they're like, we'll just have a small little family trip so mom can focus without us running around the house, because a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, I imagine, makes focusing on anything difficult. And nobody knows who it was, why they did it, nothing. There is no leads, no suspects, no motives.
There's like a couple other, like there's a lady whose truck had a gunshot in it, but they're not sure if it's the same gun.
Right.
And she was at the campsite too.
And it hit him in his chest, and they also aren't sure if they like walked up and shot him in the chest, because that takes time to do autopsies and stuff like that. So all they know is that he took a bullet in the chest and bled out in the floor of the tent.
God, that's awful.
Yeah, it's really... And
it's not like the 2 and 4-year-old can really go and get help.
No, they're 2 and 4. Like, what are they gonna do?
Start screaming as loud as they can.
I guess, yeah. And I mean, I don't know. Like, my brain is thinking of like the crazy stories from like Law and Order and stuff like that, or like CSI, where somebody got shot in the chest and it was because somebody like a mile away was angling shots into the sky because they just wanted to shoot a gun, and the bullet actually arced through the sky and came down and hit the person. Like,
yeah, but that's incredibly unlikely.
Oh, I know, but when it's just a random bullet hole in someone's truck and this person gets hit in the chest, like you have to start thinking of weird, crazy things, or it's just somebody who is just crazy.
I would say it's just crazy. Some fucking crazy dude going around firing a gun.
That's
what surprises me is that more people didn't hear the gunshot.
Well, I mean, I don't know. There's so little information about it right now.
Yeah, like how big are these camping grounds?
I don't know. So
no, I feel like in the dead of night a gunshot would ring out, so it might have been muffled.
Or maybe you were sleeping.
That it depends on how many people are out there, but like a gunshot will wake up most people.
I mean, if it's not super close, maybe not. Like
right, sure, but like I can understand that argument in a city where there's things obstructing the sound.
Sure.
But if you're out in the wilderness, especially if you're like out in a wilderness that doesn't have very many trees, then I feel like a gunshot could fucking go for acres.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
4.
AT&T employees reportedly encouraged to use unethical sales tactics to drive up DirecTV Now subscriptions.
This is submitted by Mavia to Our Technology.
I am surprised absolutely zero by this. So
yeah, same.
The actual unethical tactic that they were using is that AT&T, who has a streaming service called DirecTV Now that they really want people to use, they had been offering free trials of it. And if you don't cancel your subscription after a month or whatever, then they're automatically going to charge you the $35.
Ah, the good old Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's free, but only for, a month. And then after that, we're going to charge you. And
it's free, by the way. Put in your fucking credit card information first.
Yeah, and if you don't cancel within this time frame, then we're going to charge you, and you'll just keep being subscribed to it. But that's not the thing that was unethical. That's pretty common, and people make that agreement. The thing thing is that on recording they have and the employees being instructed to tell people that the employee themselves will cancel their free subscription before it charges them, which in and of itself goes against AT&T's policy, normally isn't how things are conducted, and even when they were trying to do that, several of them got skipped, missed, or fell through the cracks in which people got charged.
Does not surprise me. Also, that does not surprise me. I feel like a lot of places tell their employees to do shit like that.
I have a friend who shall rename nameless, because I don't know if he actually wants me to broadcast his name. Anyway.
Rename and nameless.
Yeah, rename the nameless. He worked for a call center in Oklahoma, and they were a call center for AT&T. Because most of AT&T's call centers are actually outsourced. And they wanted him to basically lie to customers so that they would get new plans to get them off of their old plans so they wouldn't have grandfathered prices and plans.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, he quit quite promptly.
Yeah, fuck him.
Because he's like, no, I am not going to intentionally lie and mislead people so that they don't get a better deal.
Yeah, no, fuck him. That sounds really shitty. But,
yeah.
I mean, I guess that's just companies.
I guess. I mean, it's part of the thing that irritates me when it comes to America. But we'll I mean, not America, companies in general. But we'll touch on that a little bit more once we get to topic number one.
America.
To a large extent, America. But anywho,
3.
Trump officials can no longer eat in peace.
This is submitted by John's 312 to Our Politics.
So what this is referring to is that over the last couple of weeks, really, anytime that just a major member of the Trump campaign team has been seen, or the Trump administration has been seen in public, they have been getting publicly shamed. This is largely due to the concentration camps where they're putting migrant refugees and splitting up families. And so they're seeing these people out there and they're just being like, if you won't let those children be with their parents and eat in peace, I'm not going to let you sit here and eat in peace with a sound mind, because what you're doing is wrong and I want you to know that. And
I feel like they already know that it's wrong.
Maybe, I don't know, because some of them truly probably don't care. They care about themselves, and
right. That doesn't mean that they don't know that it's wrong. Plenty of people who know that it's wrong can still not care.
That's fair. Okay. And the most recent one of which was Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who is the press secretary for the White House. She's the one that you see giving all the addresses, answering all the questions that the press has for the president at this point in time. And she recently went out to eat at a restaurant and hadn't been there very long when the manager came. No, it wasn't the manager. One of the co-owners came up and asked her to leave and basically said, because of who you are and what
first they asked to talk to her outside.
Yeah. And basically...
Then.
And basically what they said is, because of who you are, we don't want our company providing to somebody who does what you do when you stand beside, people separating families and stuff like that. Please leave.
It's understandable. If people can refuse to make a cake because you're gay, then I feel like this should also be a thing.
Which is the strongest comparison, because there's lots of conservatives right now that are really upset about the members of the Trump campaign team being told you're not welcome here. And the absolute other side of that is you were just cheering about the equality of freedom of service in terms of the baker winning the whole gay cake thing.
It's complete freedom until it hinges upon them themselves.
Yep. So it's interesting. And a part of me when I first read that this was happening was like, man, that's kind of dickish. And because I was like, is that really the right direction to take? Like, are you losing the high ground when you do this? One of the members of our current Congress believes no. Maxine Waters says no peace, no sleep for Trump cabinet members and applauds public shaming.
This was submitted by Signal Stan to Our Politics.
And what it made me think about was a post that I saw on Facebook recently, probably within the last month or so, it was something to the effect of, I feel like the people in charge have forgotten that when things went wrong, we used to charge the castle and hang them from the walls.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened before, is that if something was not being done correctly and, you know, poor people were not being taken care of, essentially.
Which they're not right now.
Yeah, they would literally rise up, overthrow whoever was in the castle, and string them up from the walls and use them as an example. Now, we don't do that anymore. We're a little bit more civilized people. But this also falls very much in that same category of the general avenues are not working. They're being ignored. And so when you keep on ignoring people, they're going to look for other outlets in order to try and get their point across. And it's no different than when people like will block a road and protest, and people are like, "Man, you're so you are disrupting society. You are, you know, preventing people from getting to work. You are delaying the world." And it's like, that's the point. It is drawing attention. It is getting attention to something. And yes, while it may have a negative side effect to it because we are shutting down a major roadway, we are not being heard in any other fashion.
I feel like it would be less acceptable if she didn't, if the owner didn't call her out of the restaurant and then talk to her separately face to face.
Yeah, she was super classy about it, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders politely just left. She didn't make a big deal about it. I mean, she went on Twitter about it later, and that's...
Yeah, so she went on Twitter. So did President Trump, who attacked the look of the location and everything, which was very, I don't know. Trumpish, yeah. It's like, you're talking about a situation and you're immediately going to rip on what they look like.
Pretty much. I mean, he's one of the most insensitive people that we've ever had, so...
Absolutely.
So, really dumb... Originally, I was like, I don't know if that's the right way to go about this, and after talking about it and thinking about it, I think it's not a bad idea. I get loud and get angry. Eventually, they will have to listen, or you'll remove them.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like, if you're refusing service because of one thing, you can refuse service. That is not an unheard of thing.
Yeah, that's just par for course.
However, since this had come out, the Yelp page for them has been blasted, and they only now really have 1-star ratings or 5-star ratings.
Nice.
With tons of memes everywhere.
Amazing.
So,
any publicity is good publicity?
To some parties, yeah.
2.
Reports of massive voter fraud taking place across Turkey, especially in the southeast.
This was submitted by Am Some Dude Buddy to Our World News.
So surprising nobody, politics are corrupt as hell, especially in countries where there's somebody that's trying to become a dictator.
Would not surprise me if it's in literally every country.
It probably is in every country on some level or another. In Turkey, though, it is excessive. And
well, yeah.
It doesn't surprise me because their President Erdogan right now is
a dictator.
Yeah, he's an absolute dictator and is working his way. He is one of those. How many? What are there? 4 that I can think of right now. The president of the Philippines, president of Russia, president of North Korea, and president of Turkey are the 4 dudes that I'm just like, man, you are all just.
I mean, all of their names are recognizable.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, Duterte, Putin, Kim Jong-un, Erdogan.
Some people put Netanyahu up there.
Who? Where is she from?
He?
It's
from Israel?
Oh, Netanyahu. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I when I heard Netanya, I was like, who? Yeah, Netanyahu. Okay. And he is from where is he?
Israel?
Prime Minister of Israel. Yeah, he's another one. Mm-hmm. So the Fab Five. I don't know what to call them, but
you should throw Donald Trump up there.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong. He's not quite there yet. He's getting very close. But he's not quite on these people's levels in terms of.
He is literally like getting rid of a couple laws away from doing it.
He would be if it was up to him, he would be, but he knows that he would essentially become one of the least popular people in America and go down in history as a terrible person, which is the last thing that he wants.
And would immediately have people fucking revolting.
Yeah, and that is not what he wants. He wants to be beloved and remembered and leave his true mark on history. And
not going to happen.
No, but that is what his goal is.
Yeah, of course.
So becoming somebody like Erdogan, while he would love that, it would not be what he wants.
What amazes me is that he wants to be loved by everyone. He wants to have his name recognized. And he's doing it by being an asshole.
Well, yeah, because it's still about him and about his money.
Famous. That is how you get infamous.
I mean, he's not going to, lose out on a business opportunity for it, because why the hell would he do that?
He's going to cuck himself so fucking hard, you just watch.
He's doing a pretty good job already.
Yes.
Anyway, so Erdogan, who's already corrupt as hell, a dictator that took over Turkey and has been just rolling with the punches and throwing several of his own back. There has been an election that recently took place in Turkey that basically is just now so corrupt and so right with fraud that it'll just secure Erdogan as the president and allow Erdogan's party to take over the majority of the rest of the government, which he's already basically directly said that his plan is his party will take over.
Connection or something?
Maybe. I don't know.
That sounds very familiar.
And basically what he intends to do is once his party has full control over the government, then they're going to change the rules so that he doesn't have a term limit or anything anymore. So that he can just stay as a dictator.
Man, that's awfully close to something else I've heard before. Something more close to home.
Yeah?
Yeah.
See, and I know what you're getting at, and at the same time, man, I really wish our Congress had term limits.
I do too.
As much as I love Bernie Sanders,
me.
The dude should not be a senator for 40 years.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. Give him a shot at president for 8.
Nikki Haley says it's ridiculous for UN to analyze poverty in America.
This is submitted by Tiger9502 to Our World News.
Nikki Haley is the United States of America's ambassador to the United Nations. The United Nations recently sponsored and paid for a investigatory report on the poverty state of the United States of America. That report disclosed that about 40 million people in America are living under the poverty line, and 40% of Americans do not have even $400 in their savings account. Basically, that
seems like a very low number.
Well, it's because they said 400. If you put that number up to $1,000, it becomes like 65% of America doesn't have more than $1,000 in their savings account. But they rolled with the $400 line because reasons. It is not ridiculous for the UN to analyze poverty in America.
Absolutely not. The UN can analyze whatever fucking poverty line they want. In America, they analyzed it, and it looks like it's fucking trash because capitalism has problems.
It
does. Not some one for everything fucking answer.
Well, and the thing that frustrates me right now is the willingness to turn a blind eye to things like poverty, because a lot of people who are not consciously aware of those problems or don't want to acknowledge them are like, there's no way, because America's economy is booming right now. America, money is just flowing in right now. The thing is
companies.
It's flowing into companies. Just
We're
because
a giant shell country built upon slavery.
Yeah, just because
who continues to use slavery in other forms that we deem not slavery.
Right. As much as we can. I mean, the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos, literally pays his Amazon employees dirt. Mm-hmm. There have been, corporations that their controlling members have said, if I could pay you less, I would, because it means that they would make more money. Just because the economy is doing well just means that the companies are making money, not that the people are doing better financially. And that's one of the things that frustrates me. I mean, Lowe's just recently cut $500 million worth of employees.
Sam's Clubs no longer exist.
Because money. They pay employees as little as possible while still maintaining as much of a positive public opinion. So
it can't be awful because capitalism, Michael.
Yeah, it can be.
What? No, capitalism is the best form of a government for whatsoever.
No, the 3 richest men in America have more wealth than the poorest 50% of America combined.
They most likely have more wealth than most countries.
It's something like if you take the richest 18 people in the world, they have more wealth than 90% of the world combined or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculous amount and a ridiculous ratio, and that's the problem, is that it's all about how much money you can get to the top while preventing as much money from touching the bottom as possible.
And meanwhile, people are at the bottom are scraping to get to the top.
And part of it is, like, part of capitalism is a problem, because if a business makes $1 million in a year and then it makes $1 million the next year, that business is a failure. If a business does not turn out at minimum a 10% increase in revenue every year, it is considered a failure. And people will not invest in that, and the only people that are investing are the people that have larger amounts of money. And they want their large amounts of money to turn into larger amounts of money. And that is one of the problems that capitalism has, is it's not about being a good company. It is about being a profitable company that makes your shareholders and the people that have invested in your stock happy. That is what matters at the end.
Meanwhile, you need to have a company headed by the richest man who's awesome, like Elon Musk, to be able to do anything fucking weird.
Yeah. It's bad. It's bad as far as I can.
It puts us into ruts that we don't want to be in, because everybody at the bottom end is going to get shit on in these ruts.
Well, and
these ruts are uphill, and these ruts have nothing but shit pouring down them.
And repairing those ruts is getting more and more difficult year after year.
Yeah, especially when there are people in our government who are like, "What? Repair the ruts? Yeah, we'll do that," and they just carve the rut deeper.
Or they just give more money to the military.
Fucking ridiculous.
No, they just give $800 billion more to the military.
But nothing is wrong with America, because America is booming right now.
Yep, the economy is great.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Listener submission: Rescue Boy saves the day on Alaska Crow Pass Trail.
This was submitted by Athena Latina to our iReadit cast.
This is really cool. So what happened is, this is the story about a woman and a 7-year-old husky named Nanook. So what happened is, and where is her name? Amelia Milling. She was hiking when she fell down a very steep slope that was covered in ice, and then she ran into this dog, and the dog was trying to help her get across the trail. But then she slipped and fell in a river, and the dog pulled her out of the river. She activated her emergency locator. A helicopter came and got her and lifted her and the dog out. The dog is not hers. The dog belongs to a gentleman by the name of Scott Swift, who lives at the end of Crow Creek Road. And Nanook will often just leave the house and go wander into the woods, and eventually will come back. And will very often guide people through the trails. And this is not the first, but the second time that the dog has saved someone's life by showing up.
What a good boy.
What a good boy.
This story actually got sent to me 3 times over this last weekend.
Because it's awesome.
And I had sent it out to somebody else as a meme.
Nice.
But yeah, no, it's crazy.
A little
it's
bit
awesome.
A little bit of happiness.
Good boys like this. He's a good boy.
I'm Mr. Meeseeks, look at me.
Nathan, what did you care about in the last 72 hours?
What is it? I have one of the many tabs up.
Find your tabs, sir.
Okay, so there's a couple things.
Okay.
There's 2.
Okay.
One is that when released in France in 2007, Ratatouille was not only praised for its technical accuracy and attention to culinary detail, it also drew the 4th highest opening day attendance in French movie history.
That's pretty impressive. Good job, Ratatouille. It's also a great movie.
It reminds me of I think it's My Cousin Vinny or something like that.
Don't know.
The one that has the guy as a lawyer.
I don't know.
That movie is taught in law school as in actual seminars and sessions, because that movie has near perfect accuracy for how a courtroom is used.
Cool. I need to watch it then.
But the thing that I liked the most was that Plato.
I know what you're about to say.
Plato's real name. We don't actually know what Plato's real name is, because Plato got that name from his wrestling.
Well, we don't know if he did. They believe that he did.
They believe that he did, right?
Yeah,
because Plato would be short for Platon, which means
broad,
like wide.
Yeah, broad.
Which talking about his motherfucking shoulders, because he was a 3-time Olympic gold wrestler.
Never would have known. Never would have thought.
This motherfucker is goddamn, like...
An absolute unit.
Kurt Angle levels of awesome, because Kurt Angle won a goddamn gold medal with a broken fucking neck.
And look at that guy. Absolute unit.
He is a goddamn unit. This leads me to believe that because of Plato and his body and mind, like, buff mental attitude, it leads me to believe that he's probably one of the reasons, like, a lot of their military units did so well, because they were not only buff, but they were fucking smart as shit. For instance, Alexander.
There was also something else in the post that you're referring to, commented that it could also explain why so many of Pluto's theories were...
Plato.
What'd I say? Plato. Yeah, Plato's theories were left unchecked, even though even at the time they could prove that they were inconsistent or wrong. Because if he was, I mean, he was a 3-time Olympic medalist, and if he just challenged them, be like, "What, you saying I'm wrong? Fucking fight me, bitch!" And it's like, well, I don't wanna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Just got to get the time machine rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that I cared about in the last 72 hours is that yesterday, the ban on women driving in Saudi Arabia was lifted, which is awesome. They were the only country in the world that was left where it was illegal for women to drive. And Crown Prince, crap, what is his name?
Progressive.
Progressive, yeah. Crown Prince Salman something. I can't remember his full name. Anyway, he's very progressive, and he's looking to change Saudi Arabia around and make them more of a modern nation that isn't criticized for all of their rights and equality differences and stuff like that. And one of the ones that he recently pushed through was getting the right for women to drive. So they were able to start driving as of yesterday. And what the Saudi police officers' response was incredible. So they had checkpoints set up because they already have those anyway because of the amount of traffic that they have. But they were handing out roses and chocolates to all of the new wedding drivers, female drivers that were coming through the checkpoint, which is really awesome and such a wonderful gesture. And what's even more incredible is it actually technically breaks the law in Saudi Arabia because it breaks the rule about unmarried men and women and the types of contact that they can have and interaction they can have. But they did it anyway.
Yeah, because fuck that kind of law.
Because it's just a beautiful level of progression that is quite great.
Yeah.
There's
That's
one
awesome.
other thing that I cared about, and it is not awesome. And I know he will never hear this, but I just want to extend a virtual hug out to Markiplier and his family. If you do not know, Markiplier posted a video today. It was only 1.5 minutes long. He is taking a undisclosed amount of time away from YouTube because his niece died in a car accident today. So he does not know when he will be back. But I
That's rough.
Cannot even begin to fathom without just completely breaking down what he is going through. I have never lost an immediate family member. I have lost family, but nobody that I was close to. And so as empathetic as I am, the amount of sadness that I share for you without truly knowing what you're going through is painful for me. So, yeah. An extension of ourselves to Markiplier and his family. Because... fuck.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy.
Other than that, though, we'll go ahead and work on getting out of here. Please remember, everybody, that we will be holding an Ask Us Anything on episode 500. Please submit those questions to us anywhere and everywhere you can. If you're wondering where you can do so, you can get it to us on all forms of social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Reddit, all of which are at iRedditCast. You can also send it to us in an email, which is iReddit@mjolnir.media. You can send those questions directly to me or Nathan on Facebook or Twitter, both of which, or Instagram, all of which are at Bimmenstein for Nathan and Schwahn Michael for myself. Or just figure out a way to get it to us. We will love to hear your questions. Add them to our list, and we'll answer them on episode 500. If you want to help the show grow, spread the word around. Tell a friend. Get someone else interested. Just share the show on your Facebook, whatever you can do for us. Or support us financially. Patreon.com/dailyinternet. Or pick up some merchandise in the link in the description below. That's it, everybody. That is your 488th dose of the internet. I am Michael Schwahn.
And I'm Phil A. Shio.
And please remember, everybody.
Well, I didn't vote for you.
Goodbye.
Bye.